everyone, it's Serena COF, and tonight I want to talk to you about the drinking age. So historically, the illegal drinking has been an issue for centuries. There are even instances where the federal government tried to prohibit this, but eventually it was repealed because they could not control it. We continued this crusade by trying to control illegal drinking through the minimum drinking law, which forced states to increase their law to have drinkers only available at 21. The methods to try to prevent illegal drinking are ineffective, and because of this ineffectiveness, it pushes younger drinkers into underground drinking, which puts them at risk, safety risks, and potentially can cause death. So my main claim tonight is that by lowering the drinking age, there would be benefits for safety for young adults. So my first supporting claim being is that allowing 18-year-olds to go to that age, because that's the age that is basically global, by allowing younger drinkers to be legal, there would be a regulation that provides safety, that provides supervision from older drinkers. So lowering the age would make it acceptable and prevent mainly the main part from drinking, which is binge drinking. According to Dr. Ruth Engs, abusive drinking occurs underground drinking, and that's mainly due to the lack of knowledge of safety behaviors. In comparison to other countries, the minimum drinking age globally is mainly 18. Some may say that lowering the age may increase hazards, may increase inappropriate behaviors, but in comparison to America, there are lower drinking occasions where they're less dangerous, there's less complications, because it becomes an event where you just drink to drink, not really do it to get wasted and really get. So in comparison to that, it's a lot lower, a lot safer it seems. Whereas in America, teens, especially in college, any type of initiations, they're typically asked to drink. In University of Colorado in Boulder, there was a teen his name was Gordy Bailey, and he was asked to guzzle about 10 gallons or so of liquor, and eventually they left him there. He was on the couch for 9 hours. He died because they didn't call for any help, because they were at the risk of being in trouble, the risk of having their frat shut down. So that brings me to my third point, that by reducing the drinking age, you would reduce the injuries, you would remove the fear of legal reprisal. So, well, if you were able to seek help without having any consequences, I think that will also help younger drinkers, especially students like us who are in college, where there are sorority fraternities, where they can drink a lot. So going back to increasing the safety, just by tapping into my first point, by regulating it, we would be able to be safer. We would be able to be public about it, you could be secretive, and it helps keep students safer instead of having them go underground and risk themselves for injuries. But also making it a regulated thing that involves parents, that involves teachers, and it just helps them to introduce alcohol consumption as a regular thing, where they're not preventing themselves from injury as much. So back to my main claim that lowering the drinking have benefits. They would help people like ourselves into college. And they would help to make it less of a dangerous thing, and it would just help people be safer. Have to keep it in the public eye. Safety is important rather than binge drinking. That's it.
Were you going to give me the outline now? Or? It makes it a little bit easier for me, thank you.
All right, well, the proposition's identified, and you do clearly say what it is. I appreciated that. The contents of the speech are kind of previewed because you've got this whole explanation about how you think everything works at the beginning before you give the propositional claim, but it's not really the structure that you're going to follow, and I think that's a problem. I think you need to lay it out for the audience a little bit more clearly as to how this argument's going to be organized. I know the concept, you explain that, but the organization is not laid out very clearly. In the body of the speech, I think we run into the same problem. You've got a couple of points that I think are sort of claims. You say it's going to regulate the safety situation, but I don't really get a lot of explanation. And then the second point says it's going to reduce fear of legal reprisals, which sounds like it's just a variation of the first argument, only it's maybe a little bit more specific to a particular condition. The notion that there's some legal reprisal that's going to be a consequence, I suppose, is based on this case in Colorado where some kid got into a hazing thing where they left him, passed out. The notion that nobody called for help because they were afraid they were going to lose their charter or the fraternity was going to be in trouble, I don't know where that comes from. I don't know if that's somebody that the fraternity said that, that's the reason they didn't call for help, if that's somebody's inference, or if that's your guess as to what's happening there. I think that you need to have some more specific information on that particular case. My guess is, somebody drinks a whole bunch and they pass out. I don't necessarily think that there's anything wrong except that they've passed out from drinking a whole bunch. I don't know that they've got, that it's a toxic situation, but I don't know because we don't get any details on that particular case. The only source citation that you give us is Dr. Eng's, and I thought that you did quote her. There's not any date on the quote. And by the way it's quoted, it basically says that abusive drinking comes at a young age, which makes it sound like almost counterintuitive to the position that you're taking, which is that we should lower the drinking age. Well, wait a second. If younger drinkers are the more abusive drinkers, why is lowering the drinking age going to change that? You are either paraphrasing Dr. Eng's or you haven't explained something that's going on in the argument here, and I think that that's a little bit problematic. On delivery issues, I've mentioned this. It's something that you'll notice when you're listening back on the video. Your voice drops out a little bit. I think what happens is you get to the end of sentences and sometimes you just kind of drop down. And sometimes it seems like it's a suggestion that here's a point that I'm not particularly as confident on, and so I'm just going to quietly say it and hopefully nobody notices. And that's not the impact that you want to have on an audience. All right, thank you.